I'm gonna die.
No, you're not. You're Australian. We're impossible to kill.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Battlefield 1 hard difficulty video walkthrough. This is part 2 of Through Mud and Blood, and it is Fog of War. Now, this is Battlefield 1 at its most interesting, in my opinion. You have this beautiful game with rich, lush environments, and then you have this measure of flexibility to take them on at your own volition and choosing. And it leads to these really interesting moments, but I just introduce you to the first thing you'll notice on hard. Because I was sprinting, a guy heard me from a long distance away, and that is what that yellow diamond signifies. He's now going to come to where he heard the sounds of my boots, and I'm going to crouch and swing around the back of him and get him. The game has a mark feature that you've been using in Battlefield for ages. In the campaign, it's useful because it enables you to see profiles of enemies through walls, and it gives you a good idea of where they are. So it's good to keep on top of where people are moving around. That was, unfortunately, another example of how good the AI can be when it comes to its stringency on spotting you. So I had full intentions of stealthing this sequence because it can be done, it's actually quite easy, but in the end we're going to throw on the good old Mauser and we're going to go to town. And I recommend you get away from the guns that are mounted because they will kill you quicker than anybody else. There's only about 4 enemies here, so it's not too much of an adversity to overcome, and the tank will come and back you up after a while, but if the tank gets shot too much by those mounted guns, you can fail this mission. So you notice how he starts turning towards me. I'm then going to bum rush him, and I'm going to stab him with my shovel. Because when you get close to enemies, you generally go into this animation, but sometimes it doesn't work, and you notice that was a sequence where it didn't work. Sometimes you just kind of hit them, and then they can shout, and then it sets off alarms, so be very careful. But usually, if they do not know you are there, it will give you a prompt from quite some distance, and you can teleport into them and stab them, which is quite nice. It's very reminiscent of Far Cry, you know how you could do those executions from like 2 meters away? It feels a lot like that. But in the battlefield, there are areas that are signified by guns, the 2 crossed guns. It essentially means it's a cache of weapons. And if you go to them, you'll see these green crates, these munitions crates, and inside of them there is generally trees. Depending on the size of the crate will depend on what is exactly inside them, and the game's tooltips themselves dictate that inside those crates and in those weapon areas, in those stashes, you will find some of the most powerful weapons on the battlefield. So I would recommend that you generally try to go towards them to pick up something that you enjoy, but my opinion is go with the thing you like. This is a game that is using guns from, the early World War. Some of them are very interesting, some of them are goofy looking, some of them have weird iron sights, some of them have massive recoil. Like, there's a bit of something for everybody, but you're not guaranteed to like a lot of them. Like, I don't like most of the guns in this game because I just don't think that they come together well enough to do what I want of them, but there are a few that really stand out to me that I had a lot of fun using, so I will always go towards those. At any one given moment, you can use, I think it's 4 weapons. You can have your main weapon, your sub-weapon, and 2 explosive alternates. As I come over here, and I thought one of these was a flamethrower guy, but it's not. The shotgun, by the way, in this game is amazing. You're going to see me use this gun a lot. If the reticle goes red, it means it was a kill shot, and this is a signifier of kills in any style of the game. When you're in the tank, it's the same. When you're in the plane, it's the same, so get used to seeing it. It's very useful. Something else the difficulty does on this, and I don't know if it's just because I'm playing on hard or if it's just the game, you don't get a lot of ammo in this game. Ammo seems to be very scarce. They seem to want you to make every bullet count, and I'm not exactly against it, I don't oppose it, but it's not my favourite conceit in difficulty. So for instance, just then, there was a silenced Mauser. And a silenced weapon is powerful in stealth sequences because, of course, it's quiet. But it only gives you 10 bullets, and if you don't get a perfect headshot, you can use 4 bullets to kill a single dude. So to me, that's 2 guys dead and me with an empty gun. So I don't prioritise it because I just don't see the utility in it, and a lot of moments it's almost a better idea to go with what weapon the enemies are using. So you'll notice I look down on my feet a lot, and I've just picked up a Gewehr here, which is a gun that I really like, but I don't like the iron sight in this game. Unfortunately, I compare a lot of the guns to World at War and COD 2, which is not going to give it the best contrast because, of course, they're different wars and they're different guns, and they look different stylistically to the way they've been designed. But all I'm going to do here, guys, divide and conquer. You can use the select button to throw the distraction to get people to go where you need them to go. I'm just kind of going to go off the whole notion that if I move quickly, I can get them to come at quite some large distances, and then I'm going to check to see where they are, and I'm going to take them out. And all we're doing now is hunting Nazis in the fog, and I find this really, really fun, because it's not that difficult, and it does feel quite tense thanks to the very complimentary score. Another good thing about this is if you kill people next to each other, they don't hear it or notice, which technically it's bad AI, but additionally, mechanically, it's fine. You know, it's a video game. You don't have to have everything be as it would be if you did it in the real world, you know. People confuse realism and fun a lot of the times, and sometimes they can be in direct opposition, and I think that's one of the areas where that would be. Certain games, it makes sense to have them be super alert. Like, I think I fall down here and he hears that. Like, that makes sense, you know? I fell down. I made a noise. And that's less good because I hit him with my shovel, but everybody immediately knows where I am and goes red. So it's, you know, it's a culmination of different mechanics coming together. But now things have kicked off. It allows me to pop my shotgun on, check down here for some weapons, and then I can go around and kill some people. And either way, the game is really fun, and I did find it very strange that I was expecting a lot more shooting than you do in this game. A lot of this game is spent very atmospherically, very passively, where enemies don't necessarily know you're there, so you can make your own skirmishes. None of it feels like the shooting gallery, shooting section to shooting section at all. Most of it feels like this. You feel like you're some kind of guerrilla fighter taking people down, and it's probably the closest you're going to get to the feeling of Rambo in First Blood, where he takes, you know, that squadron of people down. And it's a cool feeling. And then when the shit hits the fan, you've got a shotgun and this awesome sense of mobility to just take everybody down. So I'm hoping that they're going to come and flank me, but the AI is surprisingly fair in this game. They have an idea where you are, but they don't rush you unrealistically, which is another thing that makes it much easier than it perhaps should be, but it's still fun. As I go and peek over the cover here, and I'm probably going to try and shoot this guy in the head. But this is Battlefield. Weapons have a lot of recoil. Bullets don't necessarily go where you aim sometimes, and you miss a lot of shots because you're not a Battlefield player, if you're me. But it complements the game, doesn't it, when you play multiplayer? In multiplayer, I don't mind the Battlefield gun system, of the accuracy being very specific, all about feathering the trigger, never hold it, because you just miss. And usually the person with the better gun skill can win, rather than in COD, where the auto-aim is so egregious, and the kick on the gun is so ridiculous, and then the view kick often gets you headshots, and all those other elements that mix together to make that wonderful COD shitfest. But talking about Call of Duty on a Battlefield video is pretty much taboo, even though I do enjoy doing it. And I am curious to see what they do with Infinite Warfare, because everybody's writing that game off, saying it looks like shit, saying it looks bad and things, and I don't think it looks the best, but I'm excited to see if they do something different with it. I kind of don't want to buy it, I'm kind of done with COD, but I'm gonna, because it's kind of what I do, unfortunately. And I don't like myself for doing it, the same way I don't really like myself for buying this, because I'm not a big Battlefield guy, although I really do like this one, because I think I'm going to have a lot of fun on the multiplayer, because I love the FOV, I love the visuals, I love the speed, I love the high frame rate, it feels great to play. And if you can make a game feel great to play, you've already won me. So hopefully the multiplayer is fun, and it looks fun, but I haven't had a chance to jump in yet. I'm probably going to do that tonight. But pick up your weapons, change your guns. I really like this assault rifle. I think this is one of the last weapons you get on assault, which is kind of depressing because I don't like any of the guns between it. And there's a submachine gun on this game that is ridiculous. It feels like cheating when you've got it, and you only get it for one level, but it's my favourite gun in the game. And the first thing I did once I recorded this was I checked the multiplayer to see what class had it and how I got it, because I need that gun. It's a double-barreled submachine gun with two, magazines sticking out the top of it, and this thing fires in bursts, and it kills in one burst. It's ridiculous. If there's going to be an overpowered gun in the multiplayer, it will be that. But I don't think it exists. So hopefully it does, and I don't have to buy it, because that's the gun I want to go towards, because it's really fun, dude. That's going to be a rusher's dream. So you'll notice 2 people heard me moving, so I can now run behind them and stab them with my shovel. This opens up the next area, which is incredibly wide and filled with dudes. But the cool thing about this is the fog does help you, and also being prone helps too. But the AI are really good at seeing you even though you're prone. So if you're, for instance, in certain games, if you were being spotted by a guy, if you laid down and didn't move, your camouflage would generally increase and they would generally stop seeing you. Doesn't work in this game on hard. On hard, you need some geometry between you and them, or they'll spot you and start shooting. And they shout as well, which notifies everybody. And it really plays into the good sound design of Battlefield, because when people know where you are, they're all shouting. So you can just hear Nazis everywhere going nuts, or opposing forces, because we're not fighting Nazis all the time. But you might hear a bit of the music there. There's a real sense of hunting, and I appreciate that a lot. I never get it in Far Cry games. I never got it in Crysis, because to me, you were always too powerful. But in a game like this, you kind of feel just like a soldier who's getting shit done with his shovel, and I like that feeling. You can also mantle almost anything. It's ridiculous. It's almost like Faith from Miller's Edge did a... Miller's Edge? That's a new game. It's more gritty and reserved. It's about being a Millwall fan. In Mirror's Edge, you climb more things more effectively than she does, and she's a parkour genius person in a future where everything is designed to be run up by people who like parkour. But I really like this section, and I hope you do too when you play it, because the visuals, the ambience, it's quite thrilling, and I don't often get thrilled in games other than when I'm, really scared of dying because the checkpoint's terrible, and that's a bad thrill in my opinion. That's kind of like a dirty thrill, which sounds more erotic than it should, as we push up here and I'm going to stab this next dude with my shovel as he starts talking some of his language. And you can put dynamite and things on the gun emplacements to help the tank out, because when everything kicks off, normally the tank helps you, and if you don't want to do this stealth, kick everything off with a gunshot, the tank will push up and then stand in the tank's crevice in its bum and then just start fixing it. If you stand at the back of it holding the spanner to its, tickly bits, it'll never die. It can't die. You fix it too quickly. So you can just have the tank do all the work. Conversely, if you want to do some of this awesome, first blood hunting in the forest that I'm doing, then feel free to imitate what I'm doing here. But you need to be aware that you have to crouch. If you stand up, they hear you almost all the time on hard. Crouching is incredibly powerful. Their vision cone is limited to pretty much in front of them and to the side a bit. They don't seem to get you when you're directly lined up with them on their side, but I wouldn't risk it. The same way I don't recommend mantling. Mantling is very loud. See what I climbed to the top of the ladder and he heard it. So there are moments where you just can't be quiet. And another thing there, when you get up after mantling or going through a door or climbing up a ladder, it doesn't save the state of you crouch, so you have to crouch again. And this leads me to my biggest criticism of the controls in this game. When you sprint in this game, it does not get you out of crouch. I don't know why they do that. To me, that is first-person shooter 101. It's weird, and the thing that I think it is that Battlefield is a game that's more deliberate. It's meant to be less about, ridiculous running around like a psychopath killing everybody Call of Duty. So it must be a conscious decision to have people recover from the crouch before they can run. And the amount of times I would try to get away and I'd be clicking the analog and I wasn't moving any faster because I was still crouched was really annoying. And I don't get that, personally. I think it's bad. Like, there's prone in this game, and there didn't always used to be prone in Battlefield, but I think they implemented it in 3. Because you couldn't prone in Bad Company, because I was a sniper and I would have known. But in this game you can, and the prone comes in handy, and I don't seem to have any trouble getting out of a prone, but the times when I try and run out of a sprint, I just don't get it. And it leads to some cumbersome moments. But I believe this is the last guy. When you kill the last guy, your character will whistle. That wasn't the last guy. There is 2 more people left, sorry. That was just a fun kill as we push. I do love how the animations look in the first-person camera when you go into a prone. It's the kind of animation that looks so cool it makes me want to play the game. There, he was the last one. It's the same when you mantle over things. I think this game does mantling better than almost any other game I've seen because it sounds crunchy, it looks great. And that is a big thing for me. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised with the things I like about this game, because there are existing things in Battlefield, but they just seem to have made them that much nicer. They've just added that extra bit of flair. I love the dirt on the guns. It looks kind of janky at times, but it's such a beautiful touch. It makes you feel dirty. It makes you feel like you dug in. Alabama Tick, you know the rest. And that to me it really helps when I play. It makes me feel the part. And I'm not one to talk too much about immersion, because to me, I play games for games. I don't play games to get lost in another world. It's nice when it happens, but it's usually strong storytelling and an understanding of the pacing of a game, which unfortunately is a master craft these days, and not many masters are left. So you get these wonderful moments where you're suddenly a pigeon. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? This is not the game. You just pulled me out right now, and now I'm a pigeon. But as you push up to this bridge, they're going to want you to do kind of like a detour, which you can do, or you can stick with the tank. It's up to you. This might be one of the times where I actually stick with the tank. And of course, it wouldn't be Battlefield if the game didn't threaten to instantly murder you for going out of its zone, which never liked, never will like, but it's how they've always done it, so I can't really complain. Did I mention I really like that gun? It's such a cool gun. I'm very much looking forward to using it. So it's kicking off, things are exploding, the tank is moving forward, and I should probably talk about the obvious thing that I haven't mentioned so far, that if you're a fan of the film Fury, I'm not too sure if that's based on a true story. Everything these days is based on fucking true stories, and you're like, are you, really? Really? You know, Pacific Rim was based on a true story, it just gets confusing. But in Fury, I've not seen the film, Shia LaBeouf is sane for once, and Brad Pitt and others, because I've not seen it, are tank operators who get stuck in a tank and bad things happen. And I'm assuming that this is a massive love letter to that particular movie, or story, or piece of history, whatever. So there's a few levels coming up where we kind of have those things happening, there's a lot of resonance between it, there's the tension between the tank crew, and there's this whole idea of you are a team, and if the team doesn't work, and if the tank doesn't work, you die. And that's what they're playing off here. And if you like that, you might really, really like this chapter, or this particular war story. I like these skirmishes that you're watching. Every time we go in the tank, I get sad. The first section was nice because it's just pretty and it's an introduction. The one coming up after this just makes me sad, because it's actually challenging, thanks to the tanks who kill you really quick and they take a pounding. And I'm not a fan of having to wedge myself between buildings so that I don't get killed by vastly superior enemy tanks. It just seems dodgy to me. Like I've never found it that enjoyable, and I probably never will. But here is a really beautifully lit, interesting piece of reconnoitre, where we come up here, and there's a sniper on top of the house over there, on top of the bunker, sorry. And he can see you if you're not careful, but because I jumped up the side of this mountain thing, the side of this little verge, mountain thing, it's like a hill at best, I've been able to flank all the way up the right-hand side of this this fortification. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill a few people as he kind of sees me, kind of hears me, and I'm going to blow up two placements of weapons. One is a mini tank and the other one is a gun placement with some dynamite. Once I've done that, it's going to kick off a bit, so I'm going to kill some people, and then I'm going to get back to my tank, and that's when a weird checkpoint happens. I think there's two waves here, guys. I think there's two adversarial moments, and then once they're over, I think you're done. But when you die, it puts you in a super ambiguous checkpoint, so it's not too clear on how much you did. And because I'm always afraid that I'm trimming out parts of levels that are needed, I would rather have a sequence repeated slightly than have something missing. So what I've done is I've cut it at about where I think it started me from, because what happened was I did the first part of the fight and then it went quiet. And then I pushed up to see if anything was, stuck anywhere, and it triggered the next moment of enemies, of tanks, and I got killed. And then when it started me, I think it started me before I pushed up, but I wasn't certain. So you're going to see a piece of footage blended together where we blow up some tanks and then we do the rest of the level. But the gun I picked up there is my favourite anti-tank weapon in the game. It's a massive elephant rifle gun thing that just hurts vehicles. It fires a very high caliber round. It's really fun to use, but you can only use it when you're prone. And it's one shot and a big reload. And the thing I loved the best about COD 2, World at War, Bad Company 2, was that the rifles, when you fired them and you started releasing the bolt and chambering the new round, God, did it feel good. And this game nails it. The feeling of doing those rounds is more enjoyable to me than shooting the gun. And that really says something. And I've never really been, a revolver ocelot. I don't like to reload during a battle. I don't find it invigorating. I find it annoying, and I often die in reloads because I reload too much. But those guns, there's something about the bolt action, that bolt technique, that it feels good. It feels so satisfying. And they nailed it on that massive anti-tank gun. So it's a really, really fun weapon to use. And I appreciate the reloads, even though some of them are kind of long. But it's often the guns like this that are longer. The single action ones are a little bit more balanced because, of course, you only get one shot. But I think the damage is really high in multiplayer, which is how it balances that out. Because in campaign, having to shoot enemies twice can be a little bit annoying. But in multiplayer, it's just balance. But there was a distraction. This is a guy who's going to see me when I get knelt up. Look at that for fucking vision. So you need to be real careful with the AI, because at times they can be generic bullshit AI of seeing you when they shouldn't. Other times are dumb as piss, which I really appreciate. But wait for him to do his weird boomer turn pattern, and then we can go and stab him with our shovel. Somebody's seen me right there, but we're behind the tank now, so he can no longer see us. He's about to see me then, so I run over here, and he's now going to make his way towards me. So once again, I'm going to drop a piece of dynamite here, just for future notice, so that this tank's actually an enemy, and you can get inside it if you want to, but I don't like vehicles in this game, so I don't use them much. When it all kicks off, this tank can then become an enemy, so the reason I drop the dynamite is to kill it before it has an opportunity to kill me. And you can walk in front of the tank without it realising or without it reacting, and I thought it was just empty, but then later on it attacked me, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe somebody got inside it. An interesting moment to say the least, but I try and distract the sniper coming this way. I don't know if he takes the bait, I don't think he did. So I'm just going to go behind the tank, ring around the roses, and we're going to introduce him to a shovel. Oh no, we're not, we're going to get spotted by another dude, so he's about to get shot. And I put the wrong gun on, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to shoot him with it because it's fun. See ya. Oh, look at it, you chamber that round, boy. So a guy just down here, I took a massive hit then, there's a grenade. Time to do some shooting, blowing up his own tank. Didn't blow my dynamite up, which was fortunate. This gun is amazing, I love how accurate it feels. Here's me putting on that gun again. See you later, pal. Oh, it just feels good, dude. The aiming on this game, I'm finding really, really satisfying because it's difficult, because I've got it on high sensitivity and it's taking me a while to adjust to the things. And then when I go into vehicles, it gets a bit tricky because it's like, whoa, this is different. And then other turrets are really sluggish. So adjusting to all the different measures of sensitivity and what I have to do on the analog is a learning curve, but I'm really enjoying it with this game. And I'm hoping in the multiplayer, just the fact that I have the ability to turn so much quicker and get on target faster, that I'll have an advantage against, your average player who's perhaps not got the best gun skill. Because I didn't like Battlefield 3 Online, and I didn't like Battlefield 4 Online. It never clicked with me. Anyhow, this is the checkpoint. I run back to the tank, guide Black Bess through the, is that Boreon Woods? I can't read it. Borland Woods, sorry. There's a nice massacre of that word. And now you're going to be assailed by some small tanks and by some troops. The troops are probably going to get on the anti-tank weapons, which you need to be careful of, because if he decides to shoot at you with that shell gun, he can kill you instantly by headshotting you. I've got a fail video on YouTube at the moment with it, and I was really surprised. But this rifle, as long as you get a hit marker, you did all you needed to do. If you hit them 2 to 3 times, you will blow up their tanks, because this gun is amazing. And this reminds me of Bad Company. It reminds me of being, just off to the side of the main action, pushing forward, dropping the mortar strikes, covering fire, and then when the team got in on the point, rushing in there with the pistol and just going nuts and having an awesome time. Because sniping was so good on that game, but the problem, of course, was there were so many bad snipers. And I could always spot them, because when I turned around after killing somebody, there'd be a motherfucker sat on my shoulder. It's like, really, dude? Come on now. But there's something satisfying about being a good sniper in a game, and I don't even do much sniping anymore, but in Bad Company 2, I could compete. I could compete with any of the players that played. Any of the people on the scoreboard, any of my friends, and it felt like I was adding to the team. And there's nothing worse than liking something, but not feeling like you're effective. And I think that's why I like that game so much. Because I always felt like I was making a difference. There were times when I'd shoot fucking chopper pilots, and you know, those super rare moments. They didn't happen often, but when that chopper starts going up and that pilot doesn't know how to sway and he's first getting his bearings and you put one through his brain, it was a great feeling. Like the big guns that were attacking your vehicles, as soon as somebody got on those guns, taking them off and telling, you know, your friends, like, don't worry lads, get that tank in there, because you had it covered. And then they came like a daisy chain, didn't they, to get back on those anti-tank guns, and you just popped ahead. Like Isle of Innocentes, or whatever that map was called, when we were attacking there, I used to love every moment of it, because I could make life a living hell for anybody that came out of cover. And I don't often brag about feeling decent at multiplayer, because I don't really think I'm that great at any multiplayer. I'm decent, and I like to try, and I like to win, and I like to do well, but that is one of those moments where I really felt like, you know, you dig a multiplayer, and you feel like you're good at it, and you really start feeling yourself. That was one of those games. And I've only had it on 3 games. I had it on COD 4, I had it on Ghost Recon 2, Advanced Warfighter 2, sorry, and I had it on Bad Company 2. So it's rare, but it's a fun feeling. So for this strategy, I'm going to sit behind Bess, and I'm going to wrench thin air, because it doesn't look like if you turned the camera then I would be wrenching anything right now, but apparently I am. And all we're going to do is enable the AI to kill everybody, and we're going to keep it repaired. As long as you stand behind this tank and you keep wrenching, you will not die, neither will the tank, and then the end of this mission is upon us. But if you're watching this video and you're interested in getting in some games of Battlefield 1, feel free to send me a message on Xbox. I cannot promise that I'll be able to just stop what I'm doing and jump on with you, but there might be that opportunity to everybody getting a party squad up and cause some chaos and have some fun, because I think I'm going to like this multiplayer, I really do. This game has a good vibe to me, and I barely feel that way about games anymore because I'm a callous old man, but I'm getting really, really good feelings from this one. So I hope to see you online. To which I say the same thing in every multiplayer. You better kill me, because if you don't, I'm going to kill you. But that's the end of the video, guys. Hopefully I didn't get too much footage duplicated there, but you understand it's quite an epic moment. The checkpoint is generous, and you can skip all of it by hiding behind the tank if you want to. So I showed us as much as I could of a couple of different strategies. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.